Dark bleatings, everybody. If you're wondering why my hair is damp, it is raining outside. I haven't actually been out there, but anyway. So, today I am ranking every vampire TV show that I've ever seen. There are 13 of them on this list. I may have missed something, but I'm pretty sure this is everything that I have seen. If, based on my favourites, you know of another vampire TV show that I might like, please let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for new shows. Just before we get into it, there's going to be not a gaming video tomorrow, but a video is going up, and I'm going to explain why there isn't a gaming video tomorrow in that. My brother Mikey and I, who Mikey does the gaming videos with me, we are making some changes to the channel, which I will talk more about tomorrow. Also, we hit 1,000 subscribers and I'm really excited about that, and we are working on 1,000 subscriber special. There have been a lot of people that have consistently supported the channel and also the website happygoathorror.com, which is now, my stats are booming over there. I don't know, I mean nothing's really changed that much, although I do have a couple of new goats on the review team, which is great, and I know that those reviews are being well received by the readers. So yeah, there's like 1,000 people that have supported the channel and the website, and I really appreciate it. But I do want to make just a quick special mention and thank you to Joe X Young, because for about 3 or 4 months he was posting like every other day links to the YouTube channel here, trying to get people to subscribe, and I don't know what I did to deserve such cheerleading out of nowhere, but thank you so much, Joe, because I know that you got us to 1,000 subscribers faster than we would have, so I really appreciate that. And also, I'm going to put it in the description, Joe X Young has just launched a website. He's still working out a couple of little kinks there, and the nature of what he's created, because it's enormous, it's going to be sort of like ever evolving and changing, but it's basically an author and reader hub where you can discuss things in forums. There's loads of different topics, there's reviewer lists, there's going to be reviews, there's like 1,000 things. Like, honestly, the scale of the thing he's built is crazy, and I think it's going to work as a nice alternative to social media if you like to go online and talk about books and things that you enjoy, or talk about writing, or get author and writer resources he's also got on there. Yeah, if you like to interact with people but you don't necessarily want to do it on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, so I'll put that in the description for you anyway. Okay, so let's get into my rankings. I've already partially recorded this and somehow I just missed things off my own list and it was all wrong, so I had to start again. So in number 13, we have From Dusk Till Dawn, the TV adaptation, not the movie. Obviously, this is about TV shows. So if you were born after the year 2000, you might well have not seen From Dusk Till Dawn. It might have passed you by because it's older than that. It makes me feel a little old, but I wholeheartedly recommend the movie. It is great. The show, this is probably really unfair. I've included it on the list because I've technically seen it, but also I only watched the first episode. If it didn't carry on in this vein, please let me know if you're a fan of the show, if they just opened the show like this and if I bailed out way too early. But basically, in the movie, the first opening scene is that we've got these two sort of criminal brothers and they've held up a gas station. They're robbing it, and then the whole first episode of the TV adaptation of this film is just that gas station scene stretched out to an hour, and I just thought, but I've already seen this story, why would I watch it but in slow motion over however many episodes they did? If they only did that for the opening episode just to kind of set us up, please let me know and maybe I'll go back and give it another go, but I bailed out because of that. In number 12, I don't remember how far I got with this show, but I know I didn't make it all the way through season 1, and I don't know how many seasons there are, but it is V-Wars. I don't know how I stumbled across this. I think maybe it was on Netflix, and I don't remember anything about it apart from that Ian Somerhalder was in it, and I think I was really invested in the first episode, and then it almost immediately lost me after that, but I don't remember why. If you've seen my Daryl Dixon TV show mini rant or anything I've said about Alien Covenant or Alien Romulus, you'll know that I am super, super picky and I get irritated over quite slight things. So if I've done that with V-Wars and you're a fan of it and you think it's worth me going back, let me know in the comments and I will give it another go. Because I did it, I just don't remember what put me off. I can't remember. Number 11 is Dracula, that TV show that was on Nickelodeon back in the day. And I don't remember anything about this, but the reason I put it higher than the other two shows is because I know that I watched all of it and I remember being really excited. I think it was on a Friday night at like 7 o'clock after Are You Afraid of the Dark? Double bill. It's from 6 to 7. So all I can remember about this is that Dracula is going around by the name Alucard. It's very clever. Number 10, and if you find yourselves questioning my ranking order here and you disagree, I think I'll agree with you that you disagree with my rankings because I'm questioning the rankings now that I'm looking at them, but we're going to go with what I wrote down. Number 10, we've got The Originals, which is the spin-off of The Vampire Diaries. And now I am surprised at myself that I put this below The Vampire Diaries. But anyway, The Originals is about the original vampire family, which is Klaus and Elijah and Rebecca. I think that's what their names are. And I don't remember why I bailed on this, but I think I was initially interested, and then I remembered that I don't think any of these characters are, they're not so much layered anti-heroes as flat out villains, and I don't think I was really on board with any of them. And also I think I just hit a point where I thought this is just the Vampire Diaries but in New Orleans and I don't really understand. I just remember werewolves came into it and that's about where I stopped watching it, I think. So I don't know how early that was, but again, if I should give this another go, let me know and maybe I will. Okay, number 9. I also did not finish this entire series. There's a pattern here for the ranking order, but it's Van Helsing, which I watched on Netflix, and this is about Vanessa Helsing, descendant of the Helsings, the famous vampire hunter from Dracula, and it's this is why I liked it. I remember now. There was a vampire apocalypse, and I haven't seen a vampire apocalypse before, so I love 30 Days of Night because it was, for all intents and purposes, just for that one particular town, it was a vampire apocalypse. But this is more not global, but a much bigger area, and it's a bigger problem. So a volcano erupts, I think, and then the ash cloud is very thick and it sort of hampers the sun's rays getting through in the daytime, which means that vampires can come out of the sewers and walk around in the day and humanity is doomed. And then I can't quite remember how Vanessa Helsing has this sort of awakening that she's like a super skilled vampire hunter or anything, but I just remember having fun capers. She's having fun capers. I mean, I say fun, horrific and bloodsheddy, as she makes her way around and discovers things and whatever. And I don't remember why. I think I just started to find it tedious and tapped out at some point. Like I think that maybe they could have rounded the story off in maybe 2 seasons, but it was fun anyway. Number 8, and I am questioning my positioning here, but maybe this is at number 8 because this is the first show on the list where I did actually complete it. I watched it all. It's The Vampire Diaries, and I started watching this. I worked at a holiday park, like one of those like family kids holiday parks, and we sometimes, the girls on the team, we had girl night, and The Vampire Diaries was the program of choice. And then I wasn't super invested because right from the first episode I found it really melodramatic, but also it is a teen vampire show, so what do you expect, really? But I watched so much of it there that when I got home I was like, I have to know how it ends now, and I finished it. And I do think that this went on for way too long, this show, and I did at some point find every single person in it quite annoying. And also I never really got over that people just seemed to forget that Damon was compelling people to sleep with him, but because he's hot, no one seemed to care about that after episode 2 or something. But you know, I guess I must have enjoyed it more than the other shows because I did finish it and feel like I had to see the end of it, but that show was crazy. Kind of glad I watched it all, but definitely would never rewatch it. It's a bit woe is me, that show, for my tastes. Number 7, speaking of woe is me, is Angel, the Buffy spin-off about Angel moving to LA and starting like a, I guess sort of like a supernatural things hunting agency or whatever, and Cordelia is the one taking the phone calls, and they cross over several characters from the main show, but it also has original characters. And I think that on the first run, when I watched it as it actually aired, because I was such a Buffy fan and I am very change resistant, I think I didn't like it very much. But then when I rewatched it all last year, I liked it much more, and I found it a lot funnier than I remembered it being. Maybe the jokes went over my head when I was a teenager or something, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it had good storylines, and I think it was quite a shame that it got cancelled. I think they were doing a pretty good job with it. Number 6, The Strain. And I think that this one was cancelled, and I think that they did wrap it up, I think, quickly. But I think that this was cancelled before its time. And this one has a really interesting starting premise where a plane lands and no one gets off. And then when people go on board, it turns out that everyone is dead and it's really cold there. And then, well, they think everyone's dead, but a few people are not. And you know, maybe there is a sort of parasitic virus kind of thing spreading vampirism. And I really loved that concept, and it just started to get bigger and bigger as the show went on. This is kind of in a vampire apocalypse kind of scenario as well, and as it's sort of unfolding in different places around this city, it just starts to feel more and more scary and tense and like kind of a race against the clock. And it had some very dramatic moments. I think that by the time they were wrapping it up, I was kind of ready for it to end. I think they kind of exhausted all of the interesting stuff, maybe a season or two before it actually finished, but I thought that it was a fun time and I'm glad I watched it. Number 5, Nosferatu, and I might get some flack for this one because there's vampires in this, but I don't think I can really claim that it's a vampire show per se like all of the other ones are. But this is based on the book by Joe Hill, and we've got a main character that uses her imagination in really special ways, like there's a magical component to it. And then our villain is a guy called Charlie Manx, who, you know, doesn't think he's a villain, like all great villains. Hold on, my cat. Anyway, as I was saying, Charlie Manx. So he drives around Christmas time, and he basically kidnaps kids out of their homes, and their homes that he deems unfit to have children in them, and he takes them to Christmas land, where they might become something else. And so I will say that vampires are not heavily featured in this show, but because there's a few different things going on, but it's such a great idea, and it's full of really interesting sort of fantasy horror concepts and storylines, and it's really fun. And when the vampires are featured, they're really scary. They're like Salem's Lot kind of vampires. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. I don't think we could stream it anywhere in the UK, and I got the DVD box set for that reason, but there's only 2 seasons and it's sort of a perfectly contained great story. I loved it. Number 4, I recently mentioned this one. It is half a season of American Horror Story. So there was a double feature season where the first half of the season was one story, and then the second half was a completely different, unrelated story. And I liked the first part, called Red Tide, and it's about a screenwriter that moves his family just on the off season to this little seaside town, and it's basically empty because it's not tourist season, and inspiration strikes her, and it's very weird. And I think that this was one of the best things that American Horror Story ever did, and I think that the fewer episode structure really worked for the show, and it was just a really fun time, and I liked it for many reasons. Number 3, What We Do in the Shadows. I really love this show. This is a comedy. Unlike everything else on the list, this is like a flat out comedy show rather than like a comedy horror or a YA who's she gonna pick romance. And it's come from the film What We Do in the Shadows. And again, I'm change resistant. I was really worried when I heard that this show was announced that it was gonna just not be good. It was just, they were gonna just take from the film and it just wasn't gonna be a very good version of it. But I was very wrong. It was just such a great time. I do think it dipped in quality a little bit towards the end of the show, but generally speaking it was pretty consistent and really funny. And if you haven't seen the show or the film, it's just about some vampires, old vampires, but they're living in modern day in a house share, and hilarity ensues. Number 2, I found it really hard to decide what to put in the number 1 spot and the number 2 spot, and it took me quite a while to decide this. But number 2, I have True Blood. I'm always recommending this to people who enjoy vampire stuff, and a shocking amount of people haven't seen it. And I think, again, maybe it's because I'm old and this show came out a little while ago, longer than I would like to admit. But this is about Sookie Stackhouse, and she's a sun-worshipping gal who works as a waitress in a local diner, and around the time that we join her story, vampires have come out of the coffin, as they phrased it, and announced their existence to the human world, and they want, apparently they want to coexist with humans, but these are not wishy-washy vampires. These are, you know, they can pass as human a little bit unless you have a proper look at them, but they are super strength, super speed, tend to be quite vicious, and obviously they survive on blood. And the reason they've come out of the coffin now is because the Japanese have made a synthetic blood that they can survive on, so they don't need to kill people anymore. Of course, there's a lot of killing still. And the thing that I really love about True Blood, and this is the comparison I always see, I think it came out when the Vampire Diaries was still on, and I think for that reason, and when Twilight was big, and I think for that reason it got lumped in with Twilight and the Vampire Diaries as like one of the same. It is absolutely nothing like those two I just mentioned, because this is not a YA romance kind of show. There is a love triangle, there are love interests and yada yada yada, but this is very much an adult show. You should not watch this with kids present. It's really, really violent. The comedy is on point. I mean, it's not a comedy show, it's a drama, like I guess it's a vampire horror drama, but there are funny characters. It's got really great representation across the board as well, which I really enjoyed. And hardly ever, I mean, most of the shows, almost everything I've mentioned, it's all just straight white people. This show really embraced diversity, and I commend it for that, because that's something that the books did not do, that it's based on. But yeah, True Blood is a really great show if you enjoy horror and vampire fiction. And if fellow fans, I would love to know who your favorite characters are, because I have a ranking video. Have I done that yet? If I haven't done that yet, I'm going to do it. Okay, and that does mean, obviously, in the number 1 spot, and I still, apart from season 1 is kind of ropey because they didn't have much of a budget and it's a little bit corny, I'm going to say Buffy. It holds up. I cannot put anything else in the top spot apart from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was such a good show. I know that they're remaking it, or they've remade it. I don't know if it's already out. I haven't seen the remake, but I am open to it. But this is about Buffy, who is a vampire slayer. In every generation, one slayer is born, and the slayer has you know, super strength, and she's the one that can fight the vampires. Despite the stuff that's come out about Joss Whedon's sins, which is ironically horrible stuff about how he treats women in the cast and stuff, considering that this is a really feminist show, I still really enjoy the show, and I think that they just did such a great job with the writing and everything. I think it had a really good ending, and I think that they took it as big as it could go for a story about just one girl fighting hordes of vampires in a somewhat small town. So yes, that is my favourite, and I don't know what's going to top it. After all of these years, it is still my favourite. And I remember watching this when it originally aired when I was a teenager, back in the day when streaming didn't exist. I'm older than Google. I became aware of that today. I'm older than Google. But yeah, back in the day when streaming services didn't exist and you could only watch stuff on TV, there was no internet in these days, guys, okay? And it would come on and then you'd have to wait for the ad break to go running for a wee or a snack or something, and then you'd sprint back when you heard the show come back on, and then you'd have to wait a whole week. And that was what my Thursday nights were. I used to watch Buffy, Angel, and then Scrubs. That was my favorite day of the week. So those are my rankings. For those who've seen the things on this list, let me know where you think I've gone dead wrong, because I love hearing about other people's favourites, especially if your favourite is right at the bottom of my list. Also, once again, if you know of any other vampire shows that I might like based on this, or if I need to give something else another shot, maybe one of the shows I didn't finish, let me know. Let me know what and why. I will see you tomorrow for sort of a one-off video, let you know about the change in our programming, and then on Saturday I have a Read What You Own challenge update, so that's going to be a bookish video. And also, I have not defied my challenge, but there might be a book haul in that. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're not feeling too long in the tooth. Bleed!